Hi guys, it's me Marie, and today I'm going to talk about how our friendship began. So back in 98, 99, I attended my freshman my freshman year, and he was a junior. And so at the time he was dating my friend, a really, really close friend of mine. And then maybe about a couple weeks later, she was just like, oh, I'm not into him. Like, I'm going to break it up with him. And I was like, okay. So they called it quits, and I still stayed friends with him because I figured, I'm not going to stop talking to him because she's not with him, So, and he was cool. He was a cool person to be around, And so we stayed friends, we stayed communicating here and there. And then he would do favors for me, and every time something would happen, he was always there to fall back at, whether it was when my mom was in an accident, he was there to comfort me, as a friend, just friends, and he had a new girlfriend at the time, and I had a boyfriend at the time. And then, it was crazy because one day I remember we went out as a friend, friends, just friendship, and he was like, what did we make it a thing? What did we get together? We're always doing stuff together, and, what do we make it official? And I'm just like, no, I can't make it official with you because I see you just as a friend, nothing else besides just a friend. And he's like, well, we can be more than friends. And I said, no, I don't see you other than just a friend, And he's like, okay, you know what? I'll just give you a little bit more time. And I was like, there's no more time. That's all I see you is as a friend, And then I remember going to a Mexican seafood restaurant with my parents, and we went as a family, and the guy that was there cleaning the tables kind of looked at me. I looked at him, and we started talking, and we exchanged numbers, and he told me what his name was. His name was Jose. So I said, okay, I saved his number, whatever. So maybe about 2 days later, that guy called me, we started talking, and we hung up. So later on that day, I remember I said, oh, let me return the call back to that guy, Jose. So there I was calling him back, and I'm like, hey, what are you doing? Blah, blah, blah. We were talking, and he was just like, oh, nothing, just here chilling, right? And I'm still talking to him, for the longest time talking to him. And then, so then he was like, hey, so do you want to go out tomorrow? Blah, blah, blah. And I said, yeah, fine, sure. Sounds cool. We can get to know one another. So then he's like, all right, I'll pick you up at so-and-so time. What's your address, right? And I told him, and so then he was like, okay. So the next day comes, and so my mom's like, oh, Jose's here. And I'm like, so then I tell her, oh, yeah, it's because I'm going out with him. He came to pick me up. We're going out. And she's like, okay, well, just be careful. Tell him I said hi. And I'm like, why is my mom being so friendly with a person she doesn't know yet, So I go to the door, and next thing you know I see Jose's car there, and it wasn't the same Jose. So the guy that I talked to at school, his name was Jose, and the guy from the restaurant's name was Jose. So I go out there, and I'm like, hey, what are you doing here, And then he's like, well, I'm here to pick you up. And I said, what are you talking about? He's like, you said that, yes, you wanted to go out with me. And I said, no, I didn't. When did I say that? And he said, yesterday over the phone call. And I said, no, Eric. And at that moment, I was like, oh my God, I confused two different Joses, And I'm like, okay, I guess let's go, So I get in his car, and we take off, and he's like, okay, we're going to the movies, blah, blah, blah. And I was like, okay. He's like, I was really happy that you said yes, And I'm like, we're doing this as friends only. He's like, it didn't sound like that when we were talking over the phone. And I said, well, you could have told me something, because I'm not going to lie to you. I confused you for another guy. And he started laughing, and he's like, I told you, just give me a chance, And I said, no, we can't do this, So we went to the movies, he took me shopping and everything, everything was going great. So then afterwards, we went for a drive, and we were just talking about his relationship. I was talking about my relationship, and he's like, I feel like we have some kind of connection. And I said, yeah, I said, but I see you just as a friend. He's like, can you give me a reason why you don't want to date me? And I said, because the friendship that we have, I don't want to lose it. If we decide to date, I feel like we're gonna lose out on our friendship. We're not gonna be friends anymore if something goes bad in the relationship, and I don't want to lose the friendship I have with you. And he was like, nothing's gonna happen, you know. If anything, I'm gonna make you the happiest woman. And I was just like, no, I'm sorry, like I can't, you know. So it stayed like that, you know. And then about a week later, you know, he told me, hey, you know, I'm gonna break up with my girlfriend because I want to prove to you that I want to start a new relationship with you. And I said, okay, you know. So he broke up with his girlfriend, you know. He actually called her on three-way, broke up with her. and and then he's like, you know, she's not taking it too well or whatever, you know, because at the time she had already caught us eating at a restaurant, you know, but we were just friends, you know. And and she would go to my job and she would kind of like give me attitude and stuff because she knew who I was, you know. But I mean, and I didn't want to lose my job at the time, so I just kind of like just blew it off, you know. And then so he would come around a lot, you know, and we were still like just friends, you know. And then later on we became like friends with benefits. And so then he told me, come on, give me a chance, you know. And my mom was always like, oh, mijo, you know, sooner or later she'll give you a chance. I know it, I just know it, I see you guys married. And I was like, Mom, no, we're never gonna get married, like never. So then I remember he told me, okay, well, are you gonna break it up with your boyfriend? And I said, okay, I am, you know, I will. So then which I never did, you know. I didn't break it up with my boyfriend. And then I remember one day my boyfriend came by, you know, and he came by to visit, and we were there. And then I went to my bedroom, and then my cousin was like, oh my gosh, you won't believe who's here. Jose's here. And I'm hearing his car outside, and I'm like, oh my God, this is not happening right now. Like, there's no way both of them are here, you know? So I ran to the restroom, and I remember hiding in the restroom. I didn't want to come out. My mom was like, oh, sit down right there, mijo. And I'm just like, no, my boyfriend's here. The guy that I'm talking to, my so-called friend with benefits, is also here. And I'm like, this is not happening right now. And my mom's like, you're gonna have to come out sooner or later, right? And I'm like, my mom's not making it any better for me, you know. So I'm just like I'm like, I'm gonna have to go out and face them, you know, like, because neither one was leaving. So then I remember going out, and I'm like, oh hey, you know. And then they're both sitting on the couch, you know, looking at me. And so what's up, right? And I'm just like, what's up, you know. And then my boyfriend was like, so what is he doing here? And my friend with benefits was like, well, what is he doing here? And I'm just like, wait, first of all, he's my boyfriend, you're my friend. And like, you know, we just, like, I wasn't gonna be specific and say we had a thing going on in front of my boyfriend, you know. So then so Jose left, which is my friend with benefits. He left. And he says, I'll just give you a call later on. I said, okay. So he left, and my boyfriend was like, so do you want to explain why he was here? And I was just like, he's the guy from high school, right? From school. And I'm like, yes. And he's like, he goes, so what was he doing here? And I was like, well, he stayed friends with me, you know. He does favors for me here and there. He's like, well, you know, I don't like that idea, blah, blah, blah. And I was just like, okay. And he's like, so what? Am I being played? You know? And I was just like, no. He's, are you sure? And I'm just like, telling him no. And I'm just like, dang, like I got caught, you know. I got caught up, and I was just like, he's like, you know what, it's best if I go, like just forget about going out. And I was like, okay. So he left that day, right? He was really, really angry with me. He left, and my mom was just like, I told you this was gonna happen, like you need to stop playing your games. And I'm like, you know, my mom's not making it any better by her telling me that, you know. So it stayed like that, you know. And then my boyfriend called me back that night, and he's like, so what's it gonna be? Is it gonna be Jose or is it gonna be me? And then Jose ended up coming to my house that night. And I said, I'm on the phone call, like, you know, I'm talking to him. And he's like, so what? And then I'm like, you need to wait. So then I told my boyfriend, hey, can I call you right back? He said, okay. So we hung up. And I said, what's the deal? And he's like, so are you gonna give me a chance, you know? And then I told him, after what you saw today, you're still asking me? And he's like, yes. He's all like, just break up with him right now, you know? So then I said, okay, if I give you a chance, promise me that if anything happens between us, that like if we break it off or something, you'll still stay friends with me. He says, yes, I will. He goes, but I promise you that's not gonna happen. So I said, okay. So then I called up my boyfriend, and I told him, hey, you know, like we need to call it off because I just feel like I don't want to hurt you or anything anymore. And he was just like, is that how it's going to be? You're leaving me for Jose? And I was like, it's not even like that. You wouldn't understand, you know? So then he was like, all right, bye. So we hung up, you know? So then, Jose was there, you know, and we were talking, and I said, you know, we're going to still stay friends, you know? So he was just like, okay. So we still stayed friends or whatever, you know? And keep in mind that throughout the whole time that I'm telling you that Jose has always been there for me, I have always been there for him as well. You know, he would have his ups and downs with his parents, well, mainly his dad. So, and he needed a place to stay. So he would stay at my house, not in my room, in the living room, but he would stay at my house, you know, just because he was a cool guy like that, you know. He's always been like so respectful towards me and everything. So then, what's it called? So we ended up going out that night, him and I, you know, and we went to go eat and stuff like that. And then he brought me back home, and he's like, he was trying to like give me a kiss, you know? And I said, no, wait a minute, like, you're not gonna kiss me. And he was just like, why? And I was like, I don't know, I just feel like it's too fast, you know? And then he was like, no, it's not. And I said, you know what, I'll tell you what. He's like, what? And I'm like, the only way I'll let you kiss me is if you go pierce your tongue, because at the time I had my tongue pierced, you know? And he was like, no way, you're not telling me this. I said, are you gonna do it? And he's like, I'll do it tomorrow, we're going together. I said, okay. Sure enough, we went to the tattoo place, and he pierced his tongue, right? And he's like, I cannot believe I'm doing this for you. Like, this is how much I love you. And I'm just like, as a friend? And he's like, no, I've always loved you. And I said, okay. So, you know, he pierced his tongue. Of course, I couldn't kiss him right away. So we waited a while, you know, and then, of course, I kissed him, you know? And at that moment, when that happened, is when I felt like, this is the guy I want to spend the rest of my life with, you know? Like, I couldn't think of anything else besides that, you know? We had been friends for quite a while already, and I just can't believe the fact that after so many rejections, he still waited, you know? Like, he didn't give up. After seeing me with so many different guys. He still stuck around, and he didn't give up on me, you know? That's one thing that I look back at, and I'm like, why didn't I ever like just risk it and gave him that chance, you know? And I mean, the relationship would have been since a long time ago, you know? But I mean, that's okay, because I mean, like I said, we started off as friends, then we went from friends to friends with benefits, and then we actually made it a thing and made it official, you know? My family was really, really happy because he had, like I said, he had been around for quite a while already just as friends. But once they found out, like, oh, like, we made it official and we started dating and stuff, like, everybody was happy because they liked him. You know, he fit right in with the family. So, yeah, that's how we met, you know, and we stayed together all the way through high school. So you can say that I met him in high school, and he was my high school sweetheart, you know, like for all those years. And even though technically we were just friends, and then we finally made it official later on, I can say that, yeah, he is a great guy, you know. Also, is a great guy, one of a kind. I don't even know if there's another one out there like him. But he had always been so respectful towards me, and towards my family as well, and respectful, like. And when I mean respectful, I mean really respectful towards everyone. And so, yeah, that's the story of how I met him. And so on the next video that will be posted, you guys are going to get to know how I said my I do's. Bye, guys.